Hey, John, think of that last formula you built in a spreadsheet and the time you spent wrangling to get it right. Wouldn't it be great if you could just download that calculation from a shared catalog?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I mean, that experience was awful, and that sounds super interesting, especially because, why build it multiple times? I've already built it once.
Right, exactly. Or someone else has built it.
Even better, yeah.
Yeah, let's go over what we're going to go over today. Today, we're going to go over community functions as an alternative to building text formulas and spreadsheets. And we're going to show you our new Numbrz add-on for Google Sheets that launched last week. And we're going to show you how you use custom functions in your Google Sheets. And then real quick, we'll show you the actual function of the Numbrz visual canvas, which is one of my favorite features of the platform. And then for those who watch our videos, we always do extra credit at the end. And at the end of this video, we're going to give a preview of Job Runner. All right, so let's look at today. And John, this is a spreadsheet you did that calculates salary expense for each month. I've calculated this or built this formula a bunch of times. I'm sure everyone watching this video has, and rebuilding is no fun. Using it just from some kind of catalog is super interesting to me. Um,
Yeah, absolutely,
and
Mike.
yep. And then so this is what we have today. Let's go over a Numbrz custom function. So we've replicated the same visual presentation of the model. Let's go up here and we've already installed the Numbrz function. I'll show you real quick how to get it. If you just go up here to get add-ons and search for Numbrz, um, you can see the add-on and you can get it yourself. So this is the Numbrz add-on. Once you install the add-on, you're going to go here to custom functions, and it's going to bring up a sidebar here. We're going to import functions. And when it opens up the window here, we're going to show you two things. Here's all my models that I have, and I can see the functions in those models. But I'm going to go to the catalog, and I'm going to go into the headcount library. You can see I've got some custom functions here. I'm just going to add this salary expense simple. And what it does is calculate salary expense for each month and assumes 50% salary expense in the start month and term month. Here's your syntax of the formula here. I've already copied this formula and I'm going to paste it. Now let's go over the syntax real quick for salary expense. So there you go. There's your salary expense. We've actually calculated it for you in that cell. Real quick, if we look at the syntax, it's the same math that John's using in his function. It's reading in annual salary, start date, term date, and month. But notice when you look at the actual function, there's no formulas here. There is the Numbrz function equals Numbrz open paren, the function name in quotes with hyphens for the spaces, and then what cells you're referencing. Okay, once you hit enter, there you go. So this data is pretty similar to what people do when they're building today. They're putting the months to the right. John, why don't you drop the function in the other cells? So this is the first way you can use a custom function, which is just in a single cell. Now, that's great. This is definitely a inefficient way to apply functions. You can see each one of these is loading. But this is called Y data, and it works just as you would expect. And there's all your functions calculating. A second form of data is something called long data, and this is data that's most often associated with data coming out of a SaaS system or an application. And you can see here, for example, the months, and by the way, it's optimized for a pivot table. So you can see here the months are actually going down. Now, this is most likely going to be historical data. I don't know anyone who's building this type of data from forecast data from hand, right? So here's Violet, here's her information, and then here's the 12 months. So let's use a custom function in long data form, and Numbrz functions handle arrays. So what we're going to do here is copy that formula in. I'm going to delete this right here. And now I need the arguments. And I'm going to put them in here as an array. I'm going to highlight this range. And these columns are already ordered in the right order that we need based upon the inputs. There you go. Boom. So now we've calculated, have a single formula here, but the entire array is being calculated. Now this data set is feeding into this pivot table. So now you've got data here, a numbers custom function here, and you're feeding it into a pivot table, which is ideal. It's very easy to re-summarize the database the way you want to. Notice we've got the same answers here, right? So you can start, and John, you might want to fix that real quick. But you can start seeing how all the values are the same, and you as you change any values here anywhere, if you added more rows, your array is just going to recalculate. So that's great. So that's how custom functions are, the syntax, how they're used in a wide data set, one each cell at a time, how they're used in a long data set, which is more for like SAS data, and a single formula handles the whole array right here. Let's go over the function. So here we are using this custom function, salary expense. What does it look like? I mean, the numbers look great, but how do I trust this? How do I understand how it's working? So now we're in the Numbrz platform. Here's your inputs to the function, the custom function, right? Annual salary, start date, term date, at 1 month, what month are we calculating salary expense for? So the person started February. In the month of February, we're calculating $5,000, which is 50% of their salary expense for the month. Now, the first thing you can see here is functions on Numbrz are visual. This is all built using a drag and drop framework. Everything's very closely labeled. Each one of these widgets, as we call them, only do one thing. This parses dates. This is a switch widget or if statement. And you can change this, right? You could say, well, what about 3/1/25? Okay, and then there's your 10,000. So this is the Numbrz visual canvas, and these are functions on that. We'll have a video on it more to go over that in the future. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. So I think, John, we pretty much wrapped it up. I'm not sure if there's anything else. Oh, right. We do want to go over the extra credit piece, which is Job Runner. So real quick, we've built a visual macro that uses the salary expense, and it reads in this people data set here. And real quick, what we're doing here, here's another pivot with the same data, but now this data is referencing, that pivot's referencing static data here in a different tab. And just to give you a quick preview, we have a video on this too. If you go to the job runner portion of the add-on, we're going to run this visual macro on Numbrz, and you're going to see this data here is going to be refreshed in a second. And these people were run through a salary calculation. So let's go here and show you one of the big advantages of building your calculations in a Numbrz job runner. Sorry, in Numbrz, and using the job runner as opposed to building a spreadsheet. Now I'm going to run 10 people through this calculation. I'm going to run it. I'm going to go here to the pivot real quick. And in about 2 seconds, this is going to come through. Now all 10 people have come through this pivot. So I'm forecasting salary expense in the future for all 10 people. I'm reading it from an input tab. I'm running it through Numbrz, a calculation I built in Numbrz. Now outputting all the data as static data to my target, in this case, which is a Google Sheet. And then I'm using a Google pivot table to view that data. So super powerful stuff. And check we'll put some links in the summary to show some of our other videos around the Numbrz platform. So John, good stuff. I think, good little summary today. We went through the way people build things today individually from scratch, starting with a empty cell. We went through how to use Numbrz custom functions individually in cells or as an array. And then we did a quick preview of the Numbrz job runner and running a set of calculations through the Numbrz platform, and then seeing how the calculations scale and are written right back to a data tab and a pivot table. Good stuff.